works.
Well, I couldn't open it. When you sent me last week's, I could not open it. It froze my computer. It was way too big.
Was it the YouTube one or the one in the drive?
It was the one you put in the Google Drive.
Yeah. Yeah, my recommendation is the one in the Google Drive. Let's don't do that. Let's go to you. I wanted to see if we could go to. We'll talk about it maybe if we have time, but we could use our account. I think we have an account, and we could post on YouTube.
Did Betsy just join? Okay, I won't call her.
I must have deleted it by mistake or something. I didn't get a. All of a sudden, I realized I knew I was looking at the minutes and thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't have a link." So,
did you just get one from me?
I did. I just got it. That's what I used. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're all here. Betsy, I don't think we have your video though.
Oh, well, let's see. Ta-da!
There you
are.
I had a video doctor's appointment today. And so I had to like rush and go get a shower beforehand. I had to take my own blood pressure and my own temperature and
wow, did they? Oh, you have a own blood pressure monitor? They send you. We just have one, huh?
Well, no, we have one.
Yeah.
A cup, but it didn't work, and so when I was trying to get it to work, of course, my blood pressure starts rising. Exactly. So
yeah.
My doctor the first time was really funny because she could tell I was looking up her nostril and her forehead. The second time I told her, I said, "This is a lot better. Now I'm not looking up your nostrils."
My husband had an infected cyst in his lower back. And we had to do the telehealth. It was way back when with me trying to hold the camera up on it. It was less than perfect. It's a weird world we're in right now.
It is.
Before we get started, Carol, I do want to, for you all know Helen Mitchell.
Yes.
With Zimmerman. Her husband passed away this week. Just
to
share that information.
Good. He's been sick, right? But it was not.
Yeah. I mean, he was 89 years old. So.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's a lot older than she is. She's like our age, and he was much older. So, but he had been sick
from the board. Should we send her a card from the board?
Well, she's a member, right? So I would think so.
And and a sponsor. So
yeah. So why don't we do that?
Okay, that would be nice.
You have an address for her?
I do. I'll send it to you.
And I'll go ahead and.
I have a card.
Oh, you do?
I have some cards. I have a stash of all those cards you get for free. I can send one.
Peggy used to do that. She had a whole bunch of those cards.
Yeah. I do that too.
Put our names on it.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes that Cheryl sent out for the earlier call we had, July 29th.
And I can finally, after great, I don't know what happened, but now I have been able to see them. So I first to approve them.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
And all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, first item down. The next thing is the treasurer's reports.
Oh, I didn't do one since it was last. I mean, we're only 1 week since last. It doesn't make any sense.
True, very true. Okay, so I don't think we
haven't closed. There's the same statement. We haven't gotten a new, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we've spent any money in the last 2 weeks.
No, we haven't. No.
Okay, so we'll skip that then. Oh, moving right along. The next item we have on the agenda is very important. Henry has agreed to take on the position of education director.
Oh my
goodness.
And we just need to have a confirmation vote So everybody in favor of having Henry as our education director for this chapter year?
Aye. Yes, absolutely. No questions asked.
Okay. No nay votes there. So Henry, you are unanimously chosen as our education director.
Thank you. I'm
Very
hoping you
much
guys have some
yes.
continuity stuff. I'll get with somebody to try to get my arms around it. And so,
Oh,
You can invent it all over again if you want.
and I think you've probably been involved as much as any of us in the education activities that we've tried to do in the last, really over the last year. So you're probably as up to date as anyone on the board as far as, what our education activities or non-activities have been.
okay. Yeah, and I'm thinking too is trying to. I think somebody. I think it was Carol. You mentioned like colleges and universities and trying to find different programs that we can. So I think that might be just providing information on our site,
Right,
and
right.
then like meetups that are relevant to what we're doing, and just different. Try to stay plugged into those. Is kind of what I'm thinking is more just to let people know, and more from a marketing perspective.
Right.
And then our seminars and all that would I think would be focused on programs and education, but that's kind of just initial thoughts.
Okay, so we have Henry confirmed as education director, and as a side note, this is Henry's birthday, so everybody wish
Happy
him a happy
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you. I'm 15 mentally and 80 physically. So
So aren't we all? So the next thing is the draft calendar, which I think I sent around to everybody with the agenda.
Mhm.
Even though we didn't really make any conclusive decisions last time on what our meeting schedules were going to be, I went ahead and used the same procedure that we've done in the past as far as setting up meetings. So what I did was on the draft calendar, I noted the chapter meetings. They would normally be the second Wednesday of the month, except for September. I did not do the second Wednesday just because it was kind of a, it would have been the 9th of September, which is also kind of a holiday week. And I pushed it up to the 16th of September instead of on the 9th. The only other one that was a little difficult to do was I'm looking at the calendar here, and I think it was probably November. Just because November 11th is a holiday, Veterans Day, and it falls in the middle of the week this year. It's not one that got moved to a Monday, so I also set that up for the 18th. And I also scheduled the board meetings for a week after the chapter meetings, which is what we've done in the past. I didn't do anything about a seminar. I just have it down as a regular April meeting because who knows what's going to be happening in April. And I tried to note below all of the different holidays and observations, like religious holidays, the holiday weekends, like the Monday holiday weekends. And Fortunately, this year Valentine's Day didn't factor into it. So I know that's always been a problem in the past, but
Also Betsy's birthday. Meetings that day.
that's true. Which is January 13th, correct?
Correct.
So that would interfere with our chapter meeting. We can change the meeting date if you'd like, Betsy.
I don't think you ought to do that. We'll just play it by.
Who
Might
knows?
even be in Florida.
Well, you may want to attend a meeting on your birthday. Who knows?
Hey, who knows? You don't know. And I don't think I will be. I think my brother's got January this year, so
Oh.
I will probably be here.
So, and then the last column is the day which I would hope to have the website announcement and the Eventbrite announcements ready for people to see, ready to go out as emails. So all the dates are subject to change. We may need to change them for a variety of reasons in the future. But this is a very optimistic schedule, seeing that we still haven't quite finalized what we're going to do about our meetings this year. So we'll move on from here, and if we have to change the schedule, we will do that. So anybody see any major problems with that schedule right now, besides Betsy's birthday?
I could just skip that one too, anyways, because
Okay.
my prayer day.
I would say we just have tentative dates that we can advertise. And, I think if we're going to do at least some of the meetings, I don't know if we've agreed to do a meeting every month or not, but I think it gives us some flexibility to start finding speakers that may or may not be in the Washington area too.
Okay, well, that kind of segues us into the online meeting question, which is something we spent a lot of time discussing last meeting, but we didn't really resolve anything yet. And I did a lot of thinking about this over the last 2 weeks, and there are several options we can look at. One would be you just try to proceed as we have in the past with a meeting every month with a speaker, and maybe allocating the meeting time to part speaker and part networking / discussion, some sort of interactive component of the meetings. Another possibility that I think is probably, in my mind, may be the best option, at least for right now. And that is, we're just about in the middle of August. We don't have a whole lot of time before, it just started raining here. We don't have a lot of time before what would have been our scheduled September meeting. And I haven't heard back from Courtney about speakers yet. So one thing we could do, and we would need the cooperation of Debbie for this, is instead of trying to hold a meeting in September, we come up with a newsletter that goes out to the members. It will be more extensive than what we sent out a few months ago, but it would contain the information about our schedule, how we're planning to run the meetings, it's just some updated news. And
That's also maybe something we can release with, like, we were talking about doing some kind of questionnaire or whatever. Because I think an alternative to a a newsletter would be just another informal meeting like we had for the banquet, but maybe it has more structure to it to find out the needs of people. Maybe there are people who want to do presentations, that would come. I don't know. But if we did it as a newsletter, I think we are at that point disseminating information, and we should be collecting information too. And then
we could do it both within the same, the same
yeah.
communication. And
Speakers for the year.
that would give us an opportunity. Plus, it would give us more time to work out our meeting schedule and our plan for going forward with meetings. So to me, that seemed like maybe the best way to handle September, but it would be both informing the members and collecting information from them. Hopefully we would get some responses. And the third alternative, which we did in June, which was just kind of an informal get together. We could do that, and we still may want to do that later in the year, but unless, well, I'm just thinking that we did that in June. So, maybe we want to do something a little bit more structured in September, and then we can think about doing it an informal meeting again sometime further down the line.
Maybe,
but I just want to throw those
I'm
ideas out there to everyone.
if we did the newsletter in September and we have a meeting, say in October and November, do we want to do something maybe in November that would be, I wouldn't say a rehash, but something like revisiting the topics of the ARMA conference or something? And then maybe in December, that's when we have an informal meeting. Like it's more of a holiday party. I don't know, something like that, and save that to be the more informal meeting.
Yeah,
No.
that's probably the best time to do it.
Yeah, well, we also need to look into,
December meeting,
huh?
then maybe skip December. Is that
Well,
what you're?
I think you're breaking up, Cheryl.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe you've got the internet or storm or something. But I was thinking also, the meetings we may want to miss more if we were to skip any would be like the winter ones. But now it's not really an issue because we're not necessarily booking a restaurant where we could lose money if it snowed or whatever. But I think we also kind of need to take time to explore. We were talking about teaming possibly with other chapters, and Nova, and maybe even Washington may want to, they're looking for other ways of having meetings. So that we might want to reach out to other groups and see what they're doing and see if they're interested in teaming, or if they have a good program that they would want to share or whatever. So, I think we have to use the time between now and, we were talking about in September to do some information gathering.
I'm just thinking, our response on surveys that we send out and expect people to return hasn't always been that great. Do you think it would have more of an impact if we did a newsletter in September, but then set up a time for people to come in live on Zoom, say, and give their ideas and do a survey that way?
Well, here's another thing. Do we have somebody, maybe I could get Mark to do it, who's like a facilitator, a professional facilitator, and do idea generation, and then have the members make it a meeting. It's somewhat informal, but there's a structure to it and there's a purpose to why we're meeting. And it's like where you do the consensus building and idea generation and coming up with possibilities, those kinds of things. So I don't know if maybe we need something like that, because maybe there are, given the situation we're in, there are needs that we might be able to start meeting now of some of our members. So for example, if, you know, you were talking about Vivica, she has to care for, I guess it's her father or whatever, maybe she's willing to come to meetings if they're virtual. And what would she want to hear? You know, maybe is she still interested in being a sponsor? What would a sponsorship look like? You know, so that might be a time to you know, invite sponsors, potential sponsors or vendors, and, you know, just like I said, do information gathering.
So are you suggesting that like as the first meeting or as part of the whole September program, or for?
You know, I think if we get too off track, we go all over the place, and that we're not going to solve all these things, all these meetings for the whole year, you know, and there's still a lot of ideas. So I think your idea, we should say, okay, you proposed a newsletter for September, and that, I think that's, you know, focus on that. And then,
Good.
and I think the other thing, the idea of, okay, and tell them, and in November, we'll have a Zoom meeting where you can give us feedback. Because if we keep exploring many things without really pursuing anything, we're just going to go round and round like we did in July, you know?
Well, yeah, I think we have to have a specific direction. And, you know, what we really need to address is some level of normalcy, however we define that for the future. But I think we also need to, you know, take this as an opportunity to bring in new and different speakers, bring in, you know, address maybe some of the needs of members that have never come to meetings or come to very few meetings, you know, like, for example, Richard, you have no excuse now. There's no place to go on meeting night. How about showing up for one now? And it's coming right to your house. So, you know, I think though we need to kind of get on the ball and start offering things and, you know, be the leaders in what ARMA chapters are doing, as opposed to just following along and wallowing around and trying to do a lot of different things. But I still think, you know, this is an opportunity if people are wondering with all the changes in ARMA, what the value is for the local chapter. I think this is where we kind of need to set a precedence.
Okay, so what if we then do a Uber newsletter in September, and did you say October, November for the
for formal structured meetings with speakers, or you know, if it's a panel discussion or whatever, but we have a official program that's of records management value. But I was suggesting, you know, possibly November, if there was any interesting outcomes, if people are going to the ARMA conference. I'm actually possibly getting permission to take go to the virtual conference this year. You know, would there be something that would be discussion topics that were, you know, popular at the conference? You know, those kinds of things maybe in November. And then December, we have a more informal meeting, a more social meeting maybe. And then maybe we revisit that. You know, getting into winter, what if everybody's vaccinated by then? I don't know. I just say we might kind of need to still be flexible on our formatting. And by that time, you know, we may be revisiting how we're going to do a seminar, if we're going to do a seminar. So, you know, I think if we could plan out a few months, a lot of times we're not even under the normal circumstances, we can't even plan out a few months. So I think this way we can. And I think we can start lining up speakers if we have solid dates.
Okay, so let's see what we have here. So in September, we put out a communication, a newsletter type communication. And we can talk about, you know, what kind of content we'll have in it, say over the next week or so, and have it ready to go out, whatever the scheduled date was for September. And then from there, we can also include information about having an interactive session with people to find out, you know, what do you want to hear? What, who do you want to have as a speaker? What interests you? You know, what issues are you having in your records management career? How is remote working from home impacting records management at your organization? Those kinds of things. Maybe have that in October, and then November, we can look at what was covered in the InfoCon, and you know, kind of assess what hopefully some people will be attending that besides our board members. You know, what seemed to be of interest to people, and that may give us an idea, like that people who speak at the InfoCon or present at the InfoCon can be potential speakers for us.
Or we could have some kind of a panel discussion
Right.
based on the topics they covered or whatever.
Yeah, you might find out in the October, you might poll the members who's going, because you might have more people going since people don't have to travel, you know, like you, Beth, you know, so maybe we can get some volunteers.
So what do you all think about the idea for September?
I think it sounds good. I think September, October, November, it sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think I would suggest though that maybe we might have just, you know, maybe a real short, if we could find someone do a short presentation. I think we have to offer some content that's going to make people want to log on, not just to chit chat with ARMA people.
I agree.
That would be for what month do you think?
For October.
October.
I think we have to have some kind of headline and then say we'll have an interactive, you know, some kind of brief program, informative content followed by an interactive session. That's just my thought.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's just coming up with whatever that topic would be.
Is this going to be limited to chapter members and ARMA members, or do you plan on opening up to
No,
others?
well, what we typically do when we have a meeting is we have a mailing list of 300 some names, of which maybe 15 or 20% are actual chapter members, and the rest are just people who have come to previous meetings but don't belong to ARMA, or contacts that, you know, we've made across through our jobs or at conferences and so on. So, you know, we can invite everybody, but if there were to be anything additional that we offered, then maybe we would offer that only to members.
Okay.
So
And
like
we post on Facebook as well, right? So that goes to quite a few people, I think, right? So,
yes, not enough, but it does go to quite a few.
do we have a LinkedIn page too, or no?
We do. And
maybe not the initial one, but I'm just thinking for at some point in time, we need to maybe think of.
yeah, I guess John Milligan was doing that for us up to a point. I don't know who was doing it in the last year though.
I don't know that anybody was doing it in the last year.
Yeah, maybe we didn't have anyone doing
Yeah,
it.
we don't have, but we
There was
have an
that
account.
Martin something. Yeah, that Martin guy that used to post all the time on our LinkedIn page, and then, you know, we asked him to speak and now he doesn't post anything.
Maybe he lost his job, because he was pretty regular about posting every Sunday.
Yeah.
Wonder if, I was just thinking about what content for this October, even if it's brief, and it's really amazing. I'm not even really active. And I had, in the past 2 days, I guess I've gotten invitations to 4 different webinars, one but Gimel ones, the CIP ones, and they're ones I could actually sign up for without a government address. And then we had the NARA GSA interaction.
ARMA ones coming out.
And we had there's 2 ARMA ones coming up on retention. So I wonder, Henry, do you have any ideas of, like, do you think everybody knows Zoom, or would it be feasible to do like a training of, to help people with interactive stuff? I don't know. I'm just trying to think, because I can't believe how many webinar invitations I'm getting as a non.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking from the education point of view, is make that
Yeah.
available and there's a lot of other things out there too, and maybe point people to, but you're kind of pushing them away from the chapter. That's where I see the
I don't think we should worry
friction.
about that, but maybe it would be.
No. I'm just thinking if you want
Yeah.
to provide something of value, that's
an
how people are
education
doing it today.
resources
They have
too,
these,
or something.
what's that?
Yeah, like maybe the topic would be resources. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would just think.
But there's a ton of training. I mean, like Zoom, there's some really good YouTube out there that's already there. So maybe,
Well, maybe-
instead of trying to do it yourself, leverage a lot of the stuff that's out there, and then try to focus on what's specific.
So maybe that's something we could do, where we could couch it as how to reach your chapter membership, and you could say for meetings or presentations or whatever, and we could invite some of the local chapters, or anybody basically that's in ARMA, and that way maybe it would be of benefit. Like if some of the smaller chapters like Pittsburgh or whatever are not sure how they want to proceed, or if they can survive or whatever, to give them some options and some training. But see, you're still couching it towards ARMA people, and I think it's kind of an unmet need right now, that there's not a lot of guidance out there, and especially not from headquarters. Here's some ways you can reach your chapter membership, and you could invite board members or sponsors, whatever.
What I'm thinking, I don't know, for me, that there's a lot of work that goes into that if we try to do it ourselves, and maybe but if we could find things out there that other people are doing, even other ARMA chapter or whatever, it doesn't, where things that are, just what you're talking about, these top people are doing these all the time. I mean, and to me, the future is continued learning, and it's not really tied to, it's really, I don't know, for me, this is challenging when we have this chapter seems pretty small, and we're trying to, get more energy, and all the COVID-19 stuff going on is somehow providing, and that's what I'm thinking from the education perspective, is just making available opportunities for people in our chapter to realize all these other things that are out there. The danger there is you're not focusing them, funneling them, or filtering them into our chapter. But I'm not sure that's the future anyway. That's kind of so. And I think that the thing with the interactive, maybe we try it. We've got that Mentimeter. There's another one. Mentimeter looks like it would be really good. And I don't know who was Mark. Beth, is that somebody Mark, that knows how to do the facilitation? And
yeah, he knows how to do facilitation, but he's not he doesn't know all those gadgets and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If I could get with him, or a couple of us could get with him to see if we could put some content together and some, just a real quick, and then maybe September, October, to have the core chapter members come, and then anybody else that wants to come and kind of solicit their ideas. And I think, and it's not so much as, I don't know, a cool gadget, but it's more interactive, and people can do it, online. But I think some of these things we're just going to have to try to do, and trying to plan them out sometimes that's just my experience. And the way things are changing right now, you got to be quick and be able to adapt and, adjust. And
is there some kind of a discussion we could have so that we would have someone facilitate on the challenges of managing corporate records when everybody's just dispersed and teleworking? I mean, there's a lot of issues that surround that. People, you know, having
Isn't that
corporate
one of the
records
ARMA
piled up in their home offices.
Isn't that one of the ARMA upcoming webinars? Isn't that something?
Either it's upcoming or they
Yeah.
just had one.
Yeah.
No, I think there's one coming up in the next week or two.
So for those kind of things, maybe, and this is where I'd like to explore it. Debbie, I wasn't able to get a hold of her with the website, and to see if there's some way we can, and people are talking about all these things, that we could start putting those out there on at least on our site, to let people know these webinars are coming. Here's some sort of section on the website. I'd have to look at it again, but that here are the upcoming events, you know, related to records management. And it could be these things that we're finding, and make it real easy to publish those, just to point people to those.
And that things like that have traditionally been a part of our newsletters. We had a section called Sites to Surf, and it was usually some of it was about articles that related to records management, and others were actual events. And we also had an education section, which listed different webinars and seminars and conferences that, you know, that had some educational content to them. So yeah, I mean, that's something we can do. Definitely.
Yep.
And it's something we have some experience with,
And
having done it before.
what strikes me there a little bit too is, to try to do it in a newsletter and for me, maybe personally, newsletters I wouldn't probably read as much as if there's just so many places I can go, and maybe the Facebook page, you know, Facebook, you can put events in, or LinkedIn, one of the two, pick one of them, and start using this technology. You know, it's not
Yeah, I can set
optimal.
that
It's
up
not
in
optimal, but to do these newsletters, a lot of work, I think. You know, somebody has to provide the content, and we all have to do it, you know, and if we all work together and collaborate in some of these spaces as a team, as you know, as the whole team could kind of put this is out, you know, and people could comment on it. That's what I see happening in a lot of these collaborative tools is, and it's really challenging because there's so many of them. But if you pick like Facebook or LinkedIn, or maybe but probably one of the two, and just start putting those events out there, and you know, and then from our site we can reference Facebook, and we can you know, LinkedIn reference Facebook, what if they allow you to do it, some of them. But some of those kind of things is just getting the word out on, you know, things that are happening, records management that are related, and what are, you know, and then from the core chapter perspective, figure out what we can do as a small group to start, you know, providing value to the members, and then maybe even more than just our members. I'm just thinking out loud.
Because you're right, those things, it's funny, not being working, and it's not my major thing, but anyway, I was just making a list of all the webinars that I had received invitations, and which ones were just too commercial, or which didn't interest me, or I don't know why any of them interest me actually, but but it's all over the place, and you forget. It's you know, this resource coordination and skill coordination is probably a real benefit, and training, and not doing it ourselves. Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a point, it's a very good point, that it's a lot of work to gather all of these links to all these upcoming webinars when we're getting bombarded with them daily in our social media feeds. I mean, people are going to go, they're going to see that it's an immediate thing, they'll be interested or not. So for us to take time to compile that information it moves too fast, and it's not a place people are going to look for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's just my opinion.
And I don't want to, I just was thinking of one of the meetings I was in, and I heard one of the records managers say, we got to teach people records management, and, you know, people need to learn what records management is and what I'm observing a lot of time. I think a lot of the records management need to learn what the future is with information. I mean, it's changing, you know, and people are stuck. Seems like sometimes they're stuck in the traditional, you know, way we've been doing things. And there's so many, all that stuff's existing, and, you know, some of these collaborative tools, the way people are using them are different. So maybe Facebook or LinkedIn, or, you know, and our website. I think our website could point to to those things and just try to focus on maybe collaborating to get some of that information out. But then we could plan events for our own chapter, and people might be coming to that Facebook page because of the other stuff we provide, and then they would see, you know, what we're providing, and when we offer a seminar or a speaker or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that points to some other things that we need to do, which is to get more traffic to our Facebook page and our LinkedIn page. I think Debbie has the credentials to log into LinkedIn, but we need to start using that more actively. And I think being able to publish them on social media site like Facebook, it does give us an opportunity to get things out there quickly. And the more people we can reach with it, the better. So we really do need to grow our audience there. Well, I think at least for September, when we're communicating, I think probably it's best to, well, I don't know. You all tell me that whether it's best to limit that communication to our members, or do we want to open it up to everybody?
You mean everybody, you mean like the 099s?
Well, like our entire distribution list, which is ARMA, non-ARMA.
I think at this point, we should just, you know, whoever we have contact with, because you never know that, you know, maybe the reason why somebody hasn't joined ARMA is that it wasn't convenient for them, so that if, you know, this, you know, we can't control it, we can't really aggressively pursue it, but maybe that would change their mind in joining. So I would, and I think also when people see that we're doing meetings like this, some of the distribution list is going to be previous speakers and other companies that were involved in like our seminars and stuff. And so I don't see that as being a problem. I think as far as we can get ourselves distributed and to be of service, you know, carve out our niche before somebody else takes it, you know,
Yeah.
the purpose.
And I think whoever mentioned this questionnaire or survey, I think it's a good idea, but maybe announce that in the newsletter that is coming, but and have something very simple and clear cut, you know, because a lot of problems to me with the questionnaires, if I get one that has more than like 5 or 6 questions, I usually don't have time to answer it. So you can try
Right.
to build something that's what are the main, what would, you know, just a real quick couple questions that goes out to everybody separate from the newsletter, but in the newsletter, maybe let them know that that's coming. I don't know. So, and Microsoft Forms is really great for that kind of stuff. I guess you could use SurveyMonkey too, but we could probably put together something really quick to send it out, you know.
And I'm just looking on our LinkedIn page, and there's a lot of activity to AIM people. And what's interesting thing, Chris Giles, CEO at Legal RM, apparently every month they're having legal trivia night. And they've had it June, July, and the next one's coming up in August, and he's posting that on our site. That's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe records trivia night. Anyway,
All records are trivia.
exactly. Anyway,
And
I pulled up
any,
the page just to look at it. Well,
and if any of us can attend those, sometimes too, it helps to see what other you know, you can get ideas from that for sure.
I'm guessing it might be a success. The numbers that they've had. And then there's a podcast on what experts are saying about the changing role of records management on our page from AIM. And a podcast on how to delete records. Interesting.
Well, so we need to return the favor then.
Yeah, AIM is on here.
Cheryl, have you had any contact with sponsors?
No, I have not. I have not done anything on that.
I mean, it's probably good that, you know, we get our ducks in a row before we approach them so that we have something to present to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we wanted to have some kind of a concept for the year before we went forward, so.
Right.
But part of our information gathering certainly is, you know, what can programs would they like to present?
I'm just taking notes here.
Or Carol, do you have a, I think you're writing it down, what the theme is where we were talking about last time?
I think Cheryl had it in the minutes.
Mhm. Yeah, we didn't correspond on a. It maybe, you know, we did talk about last time, if we're talking the future of records management and the stuff that's out there, maybe we really want to go more commercial. Like the future is innovative technologies. And even the NAR thing, you know, they said the future is that records management is invisible to the user. Maybe we really say from a sponsor's standpoint, hey, what is your question, Cheryl? You know, how do you deal with mobile, you know, in records management in this mobile environment? Maybe we have that as a question and have different vendors come and present what their direction is. Oh, it's just an idea. Because I don't think we could get any records manager to come and say, hey, this is how I've solved it, because we haven't solved it.
Well, and I think that kind of matches up pretty good with the presidential directive on managing records, because, you know, everything is supposed to be electronic by 2022. And there's some organizations, some agencies that haven't even been able to really pay that much attention to it. So, you know, I think part of it is, you know, we were talking about, I think, Carol, did you mention from the, or maybe it was Cheryl last time, how at the region meeting, they were talking about, you know, you need to, when engage your sponsors or engage the vendors more, because they're taking a risk coming to your meetings and, you know, going to ARMA conferences like that to generate business. So you might as well give them a hear, you know, so maybe that's something we could do.
On the issue of the theme, it kind of, well, we talked about resilience, we talked about moving toward the future, and it sounds like we're all talking about, to use a cliche from Coach George Allen, the future is now. We're all kind of talking around that as a, you know, a sort of theme. But did anybody have any other ideas since the last time we spoke?
Well, I mean, it's still the same kind of thing. It's change whether you want it or not, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, I think there's a we want to capture the concept that the future is kind of, I mean, it's kind of unknown right now.
Well, you know, that it was funny. I was having a conversation with somebody today. We were laughing, talking about kind of the benefits of COVID. And this guy was holding his 12-week-old baby in his arms. And he said, you know, people are not going to go back to the way it was before, because they're not going to give up their flexibility. They're going to demand teleworking. It's just going to be a whole new world. So who's the whole new world guy? I mean, it's, so maybe instead of being, it's really raining out here, Carol.
Are we getting weather alerts?
Is
Yeah.
that the flash flood? Hopefully that's not a tornado.
Do
We
not,
lost Todd.
Oh, we did?
So, I
Yeah.
think we
Back.
lost Todd. Is
He's
that
coming
him again?
back on I think the phone maybe.
I mean, maybe that's
Audio.
something like, the silver lining in the
Yeah,
COVID
I mean,
cloud or something
if
like
anybody
that.
else is doing that, I think that might be it. Because it's going to be, it's still not going to go back to the way it was. It's not going to go back to traditional anything.
No, but I refuse to use the phrase new normal. I hate that phrase.
I
Yeah.
think I think it's been happening way before COVID. I
I
mean,
think so
just
too, but I think this has
it's a-
been more me.
yeah.
I mean, you're forced to make commitments now where you might have been talking about it before, but now you actually have to act on it.
Well, even like DIA, which is incredible. They're putting millions and millions and millions now into converting which they should have done years ago, converting their non-secret stuff on it to an unclassified network. So they're actually going to be able to operate with OPM and have telework. I mean, that's not going to go back.
Well, what I found out, and it was from 2016, and it's starting to revive itself again, is NARA. I don't know if they're putting their stuff in GitHub, open source. A lot of and I was trying to reach out to Debbie to see it seems like people are starting to get active again and open source. So, where government applications and software is out there for the public and for other government agencies. But that's been happening since like 2016, I think 2017, it had a big push, and then it died down. It seems like it's coming back again. We've got some really big initiatives at our agency. One's an org chart that's built based on the authoritative sources. It's very dynamic. It's a really small team built it, and it covers our entire agency. But there's those kind of things that are happening that I think just completely revolutionize the way we do records, because org charts are permanent records, and the ones that we provide to NARA normally, in my personal opinion, aren't 100% accurate. They're a view of a snapshot of what we have. And now the way these systems are working, that when you're building services and microservices, the data is coming from all different sorts of places, and it's the world's really changing. So
Yeah.
And to try to focus, I guess what I see with records managers too, it seems like for the most part, and I think Cheryl helped me think a little bit different on that, but most records management focus on life cycle. It seems like to me, to create, maintain, use, and disposition. And then the privacy is a big part of it. But when at our agency, almost everybody focuses on the disposition. That's the whole big focus. And there's so much more to records and information management in my mind. So, and what are we really talking about when we talk about records management? It's when you talk e-discovery, information is admissible. I mean, it shouldn't be treated any different than a record, in my mind, in a lot of ways. You've got to retain it. You got to make sure you're not destroying it. You need to destroy the information if it's going to be costly from an e-discovery perspective. So anyway, I just see a lot of misunderstanding or different understanding what records management is. So, and I hope that didn't blur things up. But,
No.
uh,
The silver lining is one possibility. Anybody have any other ideas for a theme? We probably don't have to decide it tonight, but we'll put it out for a vote.
And I don't think we have to go too crazy on it, because we've always hassled with it forever, and literally it's
But it
never
was
been
at
any
getting
different
whatever features are
whatsoever.
there.
I have one I'm kind of thinking of it.
Remember it.
That one that I'm thinking of, it's SSA that we're trying to use as our logo, is the balancing, value and cost. And you make a logo using a scale where value over, out is a little bit heavier than the cost. So I think a lot of times we're, and then from a records management perspective as well, you're balancing, it seems like a lot of times we're balancing retention versus destruction, because there's the privacy folks are focused on destroying, the big data folks and the business are focused on keeping it, retaining it. Our claims file, our legal department wants to keep it instead of, so there's all these balancing these different competing requirements,
That might be a good panel discussion, actually.
Yes.
Get people from different companies, organizations or whatever and discuss that.
That's where I find the biggest challenge, because people come at it and they think it's black and white and it's so easy, but it's so nuanced with, when do you keep it, when do you destroy it? And it's not, it's not black and white at all. So,
No, it never has been. So,
and I was, delivering value at a reasonable cost is, where we're focusing on, the one system that I'm working on from a, information lifecycle perspective. But
So do we want to give it a little bit more time to think about themes?
yeah, I think we need to decide definitely on the September and the direction for October, and then just cogitate on the other one.
so is this
Okay.
theme, is the theme like an overall yearly thing? Is that what,
Yeah, and we
is
just
it for
use
the
it at
year?
top,
Okay.
but we always try to follow it, but we,
We try to make it broad enough where we can fit all of our programming into it.
mhm.
Gotcha.
So that we tend to have themes that are, pretty overriding that.
That helps you focus on speakers and and all that kind of stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think even education would help provide some scope and. Okay.
So, okay, well, we'll hold off on the theme, but you will be getting email.
Can I ask something? Do you have the previous year's themes? Or those
Yeah,
anywhere
I
that I
can
could find
get
them?
these for you.
Yeah, if we could just send me a link or
Some
whatever.
are very clever.
Well, that's-
Yes, we did agonize over some of them.
Oh my gosh.
and
when I-
maybe the ones that work good, if they look at those and see what worked, and maybe
and then
try to
we
come up
come
with something
back in
similar.
January and say, what was our theme again?
There was one
January,
that
we
was
did
like
that in October.
goofy.
That's why I think adaptability
paid.
and resilience and all that is kind of key now.
Okay, let's see what else we have on the agenda here. So we pretty much talked about all the programming issues. There are a couple of kind of announcements that I wanted to make. I'll give you the bad news first. The restaurant that we've had our banquet at the last couple of years, Nantucket's Reef, has been closed since mid-March and probably will not be reopening again.
Aw.
So, and this is coming from the management of the restaurant. They have a sister restaurant in Frederick, which is called Rage and Reef. And it serves pretty much the same kind of menu,
We're
but
Cajun.
the decor is a little different. It's where Nantucket's Reef was kind of a pretty high class facility. Rage and Reef is more like I don't know, a New England type lobster shack, maybe. So it's not,
Is shack the
not
operative
anywhere
word?
near as, huh?
Is shack the operative word?
Yeah, kind of. It's often in like a warehouse district of Frederick on the east side of town. And it's very nice. It just it is different. But they still have the same crab cakes and pretty much the same menu as the one in Rockville. I don't know that it's 100% certain that Nantucket will not reopen, but it sounded like it probably wasn't going to happen. So that's the bad news. The good news is I got an email today from Eventbrite, and apparently they've been working to integrate their systems with Zoom. And they have made it so your event creation is aligned with online meetings, more so than just the in-person meetings that we've been using it for. So they actually link with Zoom and share information with Zoom. So people, one of the things would be like people who sign up, their names would go directly to Zoom. And there are a couple of other features that I need to pursue a little bit further, but that their Eventbrite has been both a blessing and a curse to us in the past. They've given us some problems once in a while, but they've also been a pretty good tool for getting the word out about our meetings and in our other events. Let's see, was there anything else? Oh, and they also, we had talked last time about the 50-50. The way the online meetings are set up now in Eventbrite, you can request a donation. You can have people pay for the meetings, which I'm not sure we necessarily want to do, but you can also set it up so that people could donate like to a 50-50 type fund. So that's already built in. It's not something we would have to, think about and come up with some idea on our own.
So you just
Are they
have
going to be charging more for these services?
I don't believe so. I think it's still based on numbers.
Still free? Okay.
And we've always been well below the threshold for them charging for us. So
Okay.
that's something else that I need to check into, but I think it's still based on the numbers of people that we send out to and the number of events that we hold.
Well, there was a agenda item, Carol, that we really didn't discuss up at the top of online meetings about, do we want to purchase a chapter account with Zoom?
Oh, yes.
And if that's a topic, I would recommend yes, because when a personal account, you can't have multiple
Hosts,
owners. Yeah, and I mean, like if someone's not if Henry's not available, and we don't have, he would have to be there to start a meeting. And so I would recommend, it's only $14.95 a month, for goodness sakes. We're saving money on our QuickBooks.
I think I
subscription.
checked into one of the things I thought with that, though. I don't know, they don't offer an account that anybody can sign into. I mean, if you're gonna create an account and then share the password, is that what we're talking about? Or
Well, you can create an account and put multiple people as owners of it, I thought.
oh, I'll double. I didn't see it, but what I've seen on my, and we can test this here, because do you have a paid account?
I do.
Because I think what I've seen now in here is anybody with the same level, anybody, I can make them the also. I'll look at that. I was looking at it last week, and it looks like I can designate people to be the host.
Yeah, but I think you have to start the meeting first.
No, I think I'll double check again. But I mean, this stuff changes
Okay.
all the time, and I was surprised to see it look like that I can have other people. I'll double check it.
Because
But
I had to, when
Yeah.
I tried to do that, they said that the email that I wanted to designate as co-host had to be on my account, my actual account
Okay.
profile. And so that's why I thought if we set up an ARMA chapter account, we could put multiple emails on the profile as
Okay.
as
Yeah, I
owners of that account.
when I was looking into it, I didn't see anything like having an organizational account that was $14.99. Those were used like individual, I thought, but that's
Okay,
fine.
well, we
can look
we need
into
to
it
go
and
back
see.
and look at
Yeah.
that.
And maybe when I can set something up with you, we can test it at some time, just maybe 5 minutes to see if we could use each other's accounts. So anybody that has an account, the chapter could buy one, but then anybody could be a backup, depending on
Yeah,
how you want
I
to do it,
think
something like that, just to have 3 or 4 people that can step in if they need to.
you're right, because I think now I remember it was $14.95 per user.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so
Yep.
that could get expensive if we put
unless you jump up to like an account that has
And those are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
expensive.
And
But
there's
is
a,
the
when I could
user-
go back and look, you get like a 30% discount because I think I paid, if you buy the year. So it works out to about $9, I think, or something. Anyway, I can provide all that, but I'd like to test and see, since you have an account, Cheryl, then we could test it and see if it works. I mean, they're changing stuff all the time. They're trying to compete with web. I mean, Google now has a meetup. Google has one you can use. Facebook has rooms now you can use. And so it's continuous. It's the future. Things are changing.
Yes, I think we need to have something that we can use that's not tied to an individual.
Do we know if a user is a viewer as well as the person who is the owner or the host of the meeting?
No, it's the host. The host of the meeting is the user.
Okay,
So I mean, like I could have you could have I think there might be a limit of number of connections you have, but I don't think it's more than what we would usually do. Was it?
Mine's 100.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you
I'll
can
look at
get-
what mine is.
Yeah, the
That's
Pro, I think it's Pro
$14 per month or per year or what?
per month.
per month.
Well, that's less than we were paying for the speaker's dinner, you know?
I think she said per month per person though, right? $14.95 per person.
If you had multiple people. But I think those are treated as individual accounts. I think we'll double check. It changes again.
We'll take that as
Yep.
an action item, Henry, and you and I
Yep.
can.
And the easiest way is to test it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, because my philosophy on a lot of this stuff is they've got so many developers. They're always trying to keep them busy so they're adding.
And it
things,
certainly is the way. I mean, it's everywhere. I think someone said something about how to giving a class on how to use Zoom. I mean, every single person I've talked to in the last 3 months, I think, has said they're on Zoom all the time with families and personal use and everything. So.
Well, the challenge you have too is devices. Apple's totally different, and then tablets are different, phones are different, and it gets into.
Yeah, I was
really
doing it with my daughter.
So
She had-
it's
and we had different, I was trying to help her and I had my Mac and she had her, I was saying, let's go to the bottom. It's here, it's right there. And it wasn't. So that is a problem.
yeah.
I was on a meeting yesterday with the library board, and they're open to an open meeting law. So the board meetings have to be accessible by the public. You have to announce them in advance, and so this WebEx that they set up it connects to a public forum software that records the meeting and allows the public to enter comments, and it's really complicated. We don't have those challenges.
Okay, I pulled up Zoom, just the basic stuff, and it's the small teams. It's $14.99 a month per host, and you can purchase up to 9 hosts. That'd be a lot. The business one, which is bigger, is $19.99 per month per host. So you're paying, even the enterprise one, well, that's the same. Enterprise one starts at $1,999 per month.
No.
Yep, you gotta get 100 hosts. You have to have.
How
100.
many participants are allowed in a small team meeting?
The small and medium, 300 participants.
See, I don't think we're going to have a meeting with 300 participants.
No, and the other one is $14.99 per, which is pro, great for small. So it doesn't really matter. Well, and that one's up to 100 participants.
That's what Cheryl and I have. And
Yeah.
then if you go to buy it, it's 30. I think it's 30% off. You got they offer special yearly. So
But it'd be, if we put the whole board on it, I mean, 15 times, you wouldn't want to, that'd be.
No, I don't think we would need to do that. I mean, we could even sign up our ARMA at gmail.com as an email, as a host, couldn't we?
I don't know.
And as long as it
Yeah.
had a password with it and the people who needed to know knew the password.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's against their terms, but if you want to do that, I mean, that's like sharing an account. I mean, and I know a lot of people probably do it. So I'm just pointing that out.
Pointing out the legal restrictions.
Well, it's
George ARMA.
what's that?
We'll call it George Metro Maryland
Oh.
ARMA.
I would rather
Well,
be
you know,
transparent. Well,
for
they probably don't mind.
Yeah, once upon a time, David King thought that G. Berg ARMA was a person named G. Bergarma.
I always wondered about him.
And until I explained it to him, that's what he thought. So,
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so Carol, can you summarize then what we're doing and what we need to do, with action items?
okay, so it looks like our plan is, first of all, we will plan to get a communication out to our members by the scheduled meeting date, September meeting date, or really before then, of the 16th. And I'll be following up with emails to board members for content. And I'll be working with Debbie to get that put into, a newsletter format. Another action item will be for me to reach out to our membership and encourage them to sign up for the chapter Facebook page and the chapter LinkedIn page. That's an item action for me. Then Henry and Cheryl will research the sharing of a Zoom account, what's the best way to do it so that we can, when we're ready, we can make a purchase on behalf of the chapter. And everybody will submit any other ideas they have for a theme. And I will follow up in about a week with what ideas people have submitted and where we want to go with the theme. Anybody else have any other action items that I missed?
When's their next meeting?
For the board, well, normally it would be around let's see, what did I put on the schedule? It would be,
I just was curious, no more planning meetings before the September. I didn't.
right, next one would be September 23rd, unless we felt like we needed to do something prior to that. I think,
On the 16th?
well, the 16th would have been the chapter meeting.
Right, so I was just thinking, I'm not available the 23rd, but so if we're not having a chapter meeting on the 16th, maybe we should just plan a board meeting that day.
And that would be the day the newsletter comes out, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
or the newsletter may come out before then also. So, well, yeah, we could move it to the 16th if that's okay with everyone.
Because I can't attend on the 23rd.
I can't be it on the 23rd either.
Okay, so 16th it is.
Yeah, let's go then with September 16th. And
Oh, and the 23rd is also the digital DGI
Yeah.
Discovery and Records Conference,
right.
but that's during the day.
So we don't want too much records management in a single day. So we'll move it back to the 16th. And as as far as I'm concerned, same bat time, same bat channel. I mean, everybody okay with
Mhm.
6 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Boy, it's really raining.
It's all around me, but not happening here. It's everywhere else.
I think it just stopped. Is it still raining by you, Carol?
Yes, but not very hard now. All the hard stuff was about half an hour ago.
It's pouring here.
And we did have
Oh.
thunder.
Cheryl, is your email address for your account the NetSmith USA for your
Yes.
Zoom account? Okay.
Yes.
I'm setting up a meeting for 8:15, and we right after this one we can.
Okay.
You could start it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I'm putting in our alternative host is what it's called. We'll see if it works. I've got a feeling it might not. We'll see.
Okay, so anybody have anything else they want to add?
No, thank
No.
you.
Okay, well, I'll be getting busy with this stuff and you'll be hearing from me. Thanks everybody for getting together.
All
And
right.
Oh, just real quick too on the I'll open that up, Todd. The I did a live YouTube. So and the one last week when I stored in, people recommended I stored it in Google Drive. It's just way too big and it doesn't. And Google and the MP4 player and all that was really challenged, but I put it on YouTube and it seemed to work better. So for this meeting, I'm gonna send out the link right after this. I'll make it public, but with the link
Yeah,
only.
that would be helpful.
I'll make it public with the link only. I was just doing it private for now, just so we didn't. But I'll make it public with the link only. I'll send you guys a link, and you should be able to see it on YouTube. And you could see I was watching it here. It's broadcasting live,
Mhm.
and we can do that on Facebook too.
was broadcasting, yeah.
What's that? Yeah, this meeting. Was
I got a message during the meeting that it was.
Yeah, I sent that to folks just to, but Todd pointed out you can't read.
Yeah,
I got it private. I'll have to just
yeah.
change it. Yep, I'll send that out. And to Cheryl, you're totally correct. I tried to add you as an alternative host and it said I couldn't unless you're a member of the account. So we'll have to figure that out. Yep, that's what it has to be. An alternative host to start the meeting. So, excellent. Thanks.
Trixie says hi.
What's that?
My dog here says hi.
Trixie.
She
Alright.
can't hear you. It's going straight into my head.
Okay, well, that's all I have. So
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody for participating and
So Debbie's the one to get with on the web page and all that, right? And then probably LinkedIn, or would she be the person to touch base with?
yeah,
on
so
that?
she's the one that's doing it right now, and I have some historical knowledge of it
Okay.
because I was doing the webpage for Debbie. So
Yeah, and I was going to look at seeing if I could do anything to help Vic, but I also wanted to see where maybe the education stuff could go or whatever we could do. And maybe I think LinkedIn or Facebook might be better for that anyway. You know, whatever
okay,
it sounds like. Cool. Thanks.
All
all
right.
right.
Thank
Well,
you.
Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night.
Good
Don't
Yeah.
night.
go out in your cars. Take a boat if you need.
Good night.